Welcome to Waypoint Connect. I hope you've got your coffee. Ronja, you've got your blue
Always.
new, I don't know
Blue
what
coffee.
experimentation, but it looks fantastic. So we with Ronja this afternoon. Ronja, welcome.
Thank you very much.
Before we get started, do you maybe just want to share a bit about yourself, where you're from, family, what that looks like?
Originally from PE, grew up here and got married here, and then we moved away. We've got one son, Armand, who's 14, and a little girl, Annika, is 10 years old. So after being gone from PE for about 7, 8, 9 years, we moved back to PE and we just slotted into Waypoint.
Okay, so the topic we're talking about is parenting. We on Sundays doing parenting in the 21st century because it looks a lot different now, currently. Me having kids, raising kids, than what it was like when we were kids. So, never mind 100 years back. So, with that in mind, and our parenting conference coming up next weekend, our focus is on parenting. And what we're doing this afternoon is talking about early childhood development, dealing with small kids. And I've invited you because I know you know a lot about it. But how did you start out with knowing a lot?
Dirk, I did not start out with knowing a lot. I knew nothing. I knew nothing. Armand was a prem baby,
Okay.
and that is the absolute worst start for a very young mother. And I had to basically get by on my own in a almost a foreign city where I had no one to help me. And you don't know it. You don't know anything. You don't know anything. But you get by. And then when you look back, you thought to you just think to yourself, wow, if I just known. If I just known. And where my whole journey started is when I had to find a play school for Armand.
Okay.
I was looking for a place that I would leave my child with absolute strangers, and I couldn't find it, and I was in tears in my car one day, and I said to myself, one day I'm going to make sure that mothers do not have to go through this. And a lot of years later, 8 years later, it just came on my path. God just made sure that I had already forgotten about that day.
Yeah.
He just made sure that he put me in a position where I could do that. And from a school principal asking me to look after one baby, a year later I had a waiting list. Just by wanting to help moms not sit and cry in their cars outside when they drop their kids off. When you drop a 4-month-old baby off with someone, there's a lot of trust that goes into that.
Yeah. And that's kind of what we were talking about, is nobody really prepares you for parenthood. I know when I was studying, I had one of our lecturers just in that session share about, because we covered what we had to cover, and he was sharing from personal experience. And because of studying theology, it's all about dealing with people that are going through life. So we were talking about parenting, and he said, if you ever think you're going to be in a place where you're ready for parenthood, financially you set up, he says, it's never going to happen. So instead of trying to overthink it, waiting for that perfect day, just do it, because nothing can properly prepare you for that anyway. And that's kind of what you're relating to, is you don't know what life is going to throw at you, and you might be in a space where right now it's a difficult season that you're going through as a parent. So with that in mind, let's change gears and talk about practically for people that are either about to have kids, thinking about having kids, how do they prepare for that? Or the baby has arrived and it's like, I just need a bit more info than what I was given. Where would you say, and how would you go about just equipping yourself better as a parent?
The only thing that you can really prepare is the baby room.
Okay.
That's the only thing you can prepare. The rest is, it's basically a sink or swim. But my suggestion to moms are always, get a village. Get a village with moms who've been there. Moms who've gone through the bad stuff and understand the bad stuff, and who can enlighten you on the good stuff, so that you don't miss that in the bad. You just miss the good things. Because you so easily fall into that hole and you don't see the good things. I was in that hole, and I can hardly remember Armand's first tooth or his first steps, or because it was just so much hard work. Until I started reading. I read a lot. And with having a play school and then being able to compare my second child to 6 others, it was like, this is easy. There's nothing that I can't handle. I've got 6 versions of the same teething. And really nothing can prepare you for any of those. You just kind of wing it. So do get a village of knowledgeable people, and talk. Just talk. Don't keep it to yourself. Because when you start talking to a mom, you're going to realize that there's nothing wrong with you either. She's going to say, you know what, me too. My child too.
And in terms of what you're saying, if we think of the funny clips and skits that we've seen that are comparing first-time parents to like second and third time parents, where the one is like so particular about everything, and man, if that dummy falls on the floor, it gets disinfected before the baby gets it back, and like second time parents is like, just lick it and stick it back in there.
And the third one is like, you dropped it, you pick it up.
So that kind of, it helps us and informs us in this process, because we tend to overthink, and we think babies are these fragile things and we're going to break them, and then we realize, well, it's not an excuse to try and break them, but what we understand is it's not that bad. We don't have to be that stressed about everything.
And the thing is, Dirk, if you realize that there's no right way of doing it, there is no wrong way either. There's the way that works for you and your baby. That is the way. You can get 20 suggestions on what to do and how to do it, but the only one that's right is the one that's going to work for you and your baby. The one that's practical for your household, for your routine, for you, for your husband, for a lot of things have to fall in place for something to work.
Because you can read up about it, so you can be book prepared for this process. You can go through that process with your first child, but even when your second child comes, it's going to be different, because as a parent you've changed, and that child is different. Their needs are still, I need to feel loved, and physical needs, I need to eat, I need to sleep. But in terms of how they communicate that and how they process those needs, it's different. So your approach to that needs to change as well. So having one child doesn't necessarily prepare you fully for having your second child. So, and why I'm saying that is to take the pressure off parents thinking, I need to know everything, be prepared for everything, because even on your second child, you still need to wing a lot of things, because your child is a different child.
Yes, most definitely. I always say, if you want to know if your child's normal, just go to a birthday party and you will see that your child's okay. All of them are doing the same thing. They're all climbing on the same stuff. They're all biting. They're all not sharing, because that's a big thing for parents, especially with the first child. Of how do I teach my child to share? You can't. It's a growing pain. If they bite, they bite. There's nothing wrong with your child. Just go to a couple of more birthday parties and you'll see. So there is nothing that can prepare you. You can make sure that you get a lot of input and sift through it and then take what works for you.
And if we want to prepare, what are the things that you would say to parents? Watch out for this, do this before the baby comes, to kind of get them prepared for parenthood. In other words, what are the main challenges that new parents face?
Dirk, I think because most of newlyweds are still in that honeymoon phase. They think they can conquer anything. And then you get this cute little thing that makes sure you don't sleep more than 2 hours at a time. And only then you realize that there are different parenting styles. You assume that your parenting style is the only parenting style there is, and then you assume you make sure that it's going to happen your way, and your partner's going to want to make it happen his way. And then at the end of the day, your marriage is a battlefield about how to get this child to become a teenager.
Yeah.
So that is, you've got to make sure that you are on the same page.
No, because practically what we're talking about is the one's perception is, no, the baby needs to cry itself to sleep.
Exactly.
And the other's like, no, I need to pick it up, I need to soothe it. And it's like, you need to be on the same page in terms of what you're going to do, because you're going to confuse the child at the end of the day.
Yes. And the bad thing about that is, as small as they are going to pick up when they can start manipulating the situation. If mommy and daddy are not on the same page, especially when it comes to discipline or when it comes to routine, they quickly realize, I can go to bed later when daddy's on shift. And it confuses them, and then there's grey areas, and then the kids feel safe. Even a 1-year-old feels safe in a routine.
Yeah.
They need to know what's happening when.
As much as they kick against routine, they need routine.
They need it. They absolutely, they flourish when they know what's happening. There's a sense of security inside them that keeps them calm when they know what's happening when.
Yeah.
And that it's always the same, regardless of the situation.
Yeah. So it comes down to communication at the end of the day. Don't assume, don't think we're going to be on the same page. Have these conversations and say, what does discipline look like? And also expectations. As a husband, do you think your wife needs to change all the nappies and do everything? And then you realize, no, she actually wants me to participate. When I look after the baby, I'm not babysitting the baby, I'm parenting the baby. It's my responsibility.
You're not going to get paid per hour.
It's our baby.
Yes, it's your baby.
So put those conversations on the table, have a conversation around it,
yes.
so that you all know where you are and where you're moving towards.
Yes. And just when you think you've got it under control, it's like this child gives you a curveball. It's like, okay, let's try this. And then you have to have another conversation. So listen, if that happens again, how are we going to handle it? Because the one parent is going, when this child throws a tantrum in the shop, the one's going to try and hide it and say, you're embarrassing me, and the other one's going to give it a smack and say, you don't tantrum at home, so you can't. And that is going to create the battleground for another conversation. Yeah. Which is very unnecessary.
Exactly.
Very unnecessary.
It's an easy obstacle to avoid at the end of the day.
Yes.
And the last nugget that I want to leave for parents is, throughout this process, think of the adult that you want to raise. Using that tantrum as an example. It's funny for a 2-year-old to throw a tantrum. It's weird if a teenager does it, but it's completely unacceptable if you don't get that raise that you want and suddenly you throw a tantrum in the office.
Yes.
So we can't look at their actions, look at what they do and say, man, this is cute, this is funny. You need to ask yourself the question, if a 24-year-old does this, is it going to be cute and funny?
Am I going to be able to smack him then?
Because then it's too late.
Then it's too late. And the thing is, if you do everything, the discipline, the encouragement, the motivation, if all of that comes from a place of love, it'll be the right thing to do.
Yeah.
As long as you do what you do for your child out of love, even if it's a discipline, even if it is hard talks. I mean, from a 2-year-old, you go down on your knees and you have that hard talk. You tell him that this is not on. If it comes from a place of love, you are doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Because it's hard to know what's the right thing to do.
Yeah, and
no
even something like discipline that seems harsh, if that's coming from a place where this is in your best interest and that's why I'm saying no, it becomes a positive thing.
Yes.
What we think might be love and just saying yes, if that ends up hurting the child because they've got a skewed view of life, you end up doing more harm than good.
Because
and that's not true love, because you didn't love your child enough to say no.
Yeah. No, you can't just let them go wild.
In closing, I just want to looking at what you've shared, for somebody like you that's got all of this knowledge, you started off from a place where I haven't got this and I actually feel I'm overwhelmed. So I just want to encourage new parents and say that to feel every now and then that you are overwhelmed is okay, because we all get there at some or other point. And you just need the people around you to be able to give you that breathing room, giving you that space where you can just exhale and just get ready for round two and for re-engaging and moving forward. But that's why it's so important to have that community around you and not think, I need to go with this on my own.
Definitely, you can't do it on your own. You need, I know they say sleep when the baby sleeps, and that is just the worst thing they can say, just because then I would sleep 20 minutes at a time. But anyway, yes, make use of your village. It is so important, because then you have energy for your partner. You cannot have your child consume you so much that you've got nothing to give, because it's a season of your marriage that is, no one has the energy to put in, but everyone needs to take out.
Yeah.
And that's the tough part. That is the tough part. But it is so rewarding when your 14-year-old can bring you coffee in bed on a Saturday morning and you think, oh my word, it was so worth it. We got through it somehow.
Yeah.
So there's light at the end of the tunnel, always.
And
always.
the challenge that we spoke about is where if you try and do things from your own perspective, if you look back 10 years later, then you realize that wasn't the best choice, but it's now 10 years too late.
Yes.
And that's part of who your child is and who your child will end up being. So that's why it's so important to really wrestle with these things, put that effort in, because there's no reset and redo button. What's done is done. That moment when your child needed you and you didn't give them that attention or love that they wanted to, it's gone, but it leaves a eternal impact for them.
It does, and it's like Andy said on Sunday, how do you get from that little toddler who has his arms around your neck to that teenager who's willing to put his arms around your neck?
Yeah.
That's hard.
Yeah.
And you need to almost have your community needs to almost be one step ahead of you. Communicate with people who've just done it.
Yeah.
Who can still remember how tough it was 3 years ago. Who've just done it. And when I had my play school, I mean, I did this. I babied for 6 years. It was like having a baby for 6 years. So I'd just done everything. As soon as the one was done teething, the next one started.
Yeah.
So which helps. And it helped the moms to see that I can do this. We can do this.
Yeah.
And a mom asked me one day, where's the manual? Where is the manual for this child? And I said, but you have a manual. You have your Bible. Your Bible says just love your child.
Yeah.
All it needs is love and food and water.
and that's easy to tick.
And that's easy. That comes easy.
Yeah.
But just love your child.
And that's the amazing thing, because it links in with Sunday's message that's coming up, is that whole principle that we don't find the step-by-step parenting guide. But what we do find is the important stuff in there to make sure that we set our kids up for success. And it starts with the most important one being love. Yeah. So if you want to delve in more in terms of love and what that means, how that connects and draws everything together, make sure to join us this Sunday. If you go on the app, you can book your space there with a Quicket link. We've got enough space in our venue for people to social distance, be COVID compliant, be safe. We also have the opportunity for people that don't have data to be able to park outside the building and stream using the Wi-Fi that's available, the service that's running. But we're going to unpack this a bit further and look at that topic of love and what that means for us as families. But Ronja, thank you very much for being with us.
It's a pleasure.
This afternoon is great. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
And I hope we've been able to make a difference for you guys. This is Parent Month. Spring's coming up, so we decided we need to invest in parenting and marriage. So as part of what we're running out next weekend, we've got the Parent Summit. We currently booking is open on Quicket. Again, go on the app, go on the website. You'll find that link there to book your space, and we're going to get really practical with what does it look like, what does it mean. So if you've got any child from primary school right through to high school, then this is a 2-day conference for you to make sure to attend, as we practically unpack what are those milestones that my child should be achieving spiritually, emotionally, and physically, and how do I help make sure that they succeed in that. So a very practical 2-day conference, and I know you're going to benefit from that, so make sure to book for it. Ronja, thank you very much.
Thank you, Dirk.
And remember, have a great week.